Hey guys, it's been almost a year since I bought AORUS FI27Q and it's annoying. If you watched my video on the monitor, there were several issues that I mentioned there, and I wanna focus today on the one that is, on the one that I hope that would have been gone by now. It's when the screen begins flickering after the monitor goes to sleep and wakes up, or if you just switch it off and back on again. There was a firmware update that I did somewhere in January, I guess, or February, F03. Didn't help. I waited till probably June, hoping that something will change, went through several driver updates and still nothing. By the way, yes, I'm still running the GTX 1070, so it has NVIDIA drivers and nothing has changed so far. So I decided to write to the tech support first. First thing that they recommended was to try and make a clean install of the graphical drivers. So use the driver uninstall tool, install the newer version, well, the last version of the drivers, and surprisingly nothing has changed. So I wrote them back that it didn't help. So they rolled out a huge list of other things that I can try. Like, it's a generic list, I would say. Like update the software, for example, Microsoft Visual, C++, redistributables of different versions, Microsoft Framework, update GPU BIOS, motherboard BIOS, and at the last resort, try and reinstall the Windows from scratch. I did everything from the list. I didn't even know that there are BIOS updates for the GPU, but I did update it. Luckily it went fine. So I did everything. I have the last versions of everything possible, and the issue is still there. So I wrote them back that still no result, and well, they told me to just take it to the vendor. And that's what I did next. It took probably months and a half for the vendor to make the tests, and they said that there is nothing wrong with it, and gave it back to me. I was outrageous, to be honest, because when I plugged the monitor back in, the issue was still there in plain sight. So I decided to do some testings on my own, just to be sure that there is no some sort of incompatibility with the components I have. To do that, I took the NVIDIA's RTX 2060 and AMD's RX 560 as well. So I had 3 GPUs to run the tests on, and in addition to that I decided to see if I can reproduce the issue in absolutely different operating system. So I installed Ubuntu on another drive. And you know what? I was able to reproduce it on every GPU I had without breaking a sweat. Although there is a slight difference with the AMD card, that you don't get the flickering right after you switch off the monitor and turn it back on. You need to relaunch the game and then it starts flickering in the same way as the NVIDIA cards do. Maybe AMD drivers need to reload something to make the FreeSync running in game, because there is no logo overlay showing that FreeSync is currently running on AMD. Once again, both GPUs had the similar problems, but the AMD shows it a bit differently, but it's still there. On Ubuntu, everything is the same for NVIDIA, but I wasn't able to test AMD because it seems that, well, at least what I found is that there is a lack of support for FreeSync on AMD side for Linux operating systems, and it only available in a couple of games and software which I didn't have. So I decided to put it away and not test it in Ubuntu. After that, I saw on the GIGABYTE website that there is another firmware update for the monitor, which had a very hectic description that it optimized manufacturing process, which I'm not sure what it means at all, and display performance. And I have no clue what it does. I've installed it and once again nothing changed. Absolutely nothing. So I wonder what it really does. Let me know your ideas on that in the comments. The next thing, I decided once again to go through the Google search and look for people with the same issues maybe. It's really difficult to find something specifically about this type of behavior of the monitor, but I did. I found it on a GIGABYTE forum specifically for this model. A guy said that he has flickering issues on the AMD card, although he thought that it's at random, but probably he relaunched the game and it just began flickering, and he described the same process to eliminate the issue, which I mentioned in my initial video, that you need just to probably switch aspect ratio to aspect and full again and it will be gone. It's really peculiar that it's exactly the same thing that he did to make it stop. Then the other guy wrote that he also had the same issue, but it happened only when the screen wakes up or the computer itself. So it's also the same thing that I have. So I decided to write there as well. The moderator of the forum replied with the possible solutions for this issue. While those are viable options, but from my point of view they are not really applicable for the issue we have. Well, at least I hope we have. So also I found several threads about flickering on the G-Sync compatible monitors. Well, not just G-Sync but on any FreeSync I think monitors, that when the frame rate dips below the variable refresh rate range of the monitor, which is like, for example, could be 40 Hz to 165 Hz. But it's not the case here because the FPS actually really stable and there are no gaps in flickering. It's just flickers with the constant rate. And it doesn't go away unless you do one of the things that I mentioned last time and on the forum. So you can change the aspect ratio setting in the OSD of your monitor. You can switch FreeSync off and back on in the monitor settings as well. You can turn on and off G-Sync in NVIDIA control panel. Or the last thing that I'm currently doing each time is you just switch the resolution of your desktop from 1440p to 1080p and reboot it. It also fixes the problem. But it's been a year and each time I switch the monitor off and back on or it goes to sleep, I need to do the same thing to play a game or work in the software which has hardware acceleration, and it is really annoying. I'm not saying that the monitor is bad. It is a very good model. It has great screen resolution, refresh rate, and it is really quality made, but I'm really disappointed because if this is a software issue, it could have been resolved by now. If it's a hardware issue, they could have acknowledged it so people would know that there is some amount of monitors that have this problem. If it is resolvable by a software update, it would have been great to hear some announcement that they are working on the issue at least. Although, considering that they have a FI27Q lineup, right after the FI27Q was released. Maybe they're concentrated on those, and those don't have this issue at all. Maybe. If you let me to be a bit paranoid, I would say that the QP version is not just about DisplayPort version update, but also to like forget about the Q version and the issues with the screen. But it is really far-fetched, and it's just me speculating. So basically what this video is about is a big shout if someone had the same issue and was able to resolve it. It wouldn't been great to hear about it. Or maybe if there are lots of people who have the same issue, somehow we'd be able to address it and reach out to the GIGABYTE and try to maybe get some sort of an answer from someone, and we'd live happily ever after. My next move would be just, well, at least to describe once again everything I've tried, every piece of information I gathered about the problem, and once again write to the GIGABYTE tech support. I'm currently in a really difficult situation that if this is a hardware issue, the vendor don't want to test the monitor once again because they said that there is nothing wrong with it, so do whatever you like. And so it's really a problem here. If I won't be able to prove them wrong, that it is a hardware issue and it's there, obviously, then I might get stuck with a faulty device and live with it. But hopefully I will be able to do something with it. And or maybe there will be a software update, please. I hope everything will turn out right, but at the moment I have doubts about this. You better think twice before buying it, and if you did buy it and you have still time to test it and return it, if you have the same issue, better to change it to another one, probably, because it's really unclear when or if it's going to be fixed. I think that's all what I wanted to cover. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video, which I'm not sure when it's going to happen, because as you can see there is a huge gap between the videos at the moment, because I don't have lots of time to do them. Once again, thank you. See you in the next video. Bye bye.